Good evening and welcome to tonight's regional news. Starting with a story from Jamaica. A Portland man is in shock after the remains found last week were confirmed to be those of his 29-year-old niece, Adrien McDonald, of a San Antonio, Texas address in the United States. Adrien McDonald's uncle, Bobo Anderson, said that she gave him no indication that she was experiencing any marital problems, as she was always laughing and chatting. McDonald's father, Paul Anderson, a retired member of the Jamaican Defense Force who migrated to England in the 1990s after serving with distinction, reportedly visited the U.S. earlier this year to meet with the investigators and is traumatized by the discovery of her remains. McDonald, who reportedly operated two homes that cater to the elderly, was reported missing on March 1 after not being seen since the previous day. U.S. authorities have since arrested her husband, 40-year-old Jamaican and U.S. Air Force Major Adrien McDonald, and charged him with murder with bail set at US $2 million. Adrien McDonald, who is originally from Portland, was last seen alive about 7 p.m. on February 28 when she, along with her husband and then 7-year-old daughter, were seen heading home. 2 hours later, her cell phone signal disappeared. We turn now to Trinidad and Tobago. Hours after he was gunned down at his St. Barba's business place on Wednesday night, reputed gang member Dexter Joseph's wife and his girlfriend were both taken to the Port of Spain General Hospital after they went into labor at the same time. Joseph, along with his friend Joel Moore, aka Tall Man, and 3 others were liming at the parlor at around 8:45 p.m. when a silver Nissan Wingro drove up to the crowd and 4 men got out of the car and shot at them before getting back into the car and driving off. Joseph and Moore were taken to the Port of Spain General Hospital, where they died while being treated. Moore's mother, Melanie Daniel, said she intended to care for her 2 grandchildren and give them the guidance they needed. Relatives said they believe the only way to end crime in Laventille is to remove gang leaders in the community and felt the police are not taking the killings seriously. And still in Trinidad and Tobago, Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley has disregarded the Law Association's advice to initiate an investigation into misconduct allegations against Chief Justice Ivor Archie. Responding to questions from media during the post-cabinet press briefing at the Diplomatic Center in St. Anne's yesterday, Rowley said he sought and received independent legal advice on the recommendations made by the Law Association in December last year and was advised to take no action. The Prime Minister also defended his decision to seek independent legal advice on the issue. However, Rowley declined to reveal details of his legal advice, including who gave it, as he promised to do so on a later date. Rowley's decision on the issue effective brings the possibility of impeachment proceedings against Archie to an end, as he has the exclusive constitutional discretion to initiate such. Under Section 137 of the Constitution, the President appoints a tribunal after misconduct allegations against a CJ or a judge are referred by the Prime Minister. The tribunal reports to the Privy Council, which then gives the President recommendations on what action, if any, should be taken. The controversy surrounding Archie arose in late 2017 after a series of newspaper reports accused Archie of attempting to persuade the judges to change their state-provided security in favor of a private company in which his friend and convicted fraudster Dillian Johnson worked. Archie was also accused of attempting to fast-track Housing Development Corporation HDC applications for people recommended by Johnson, who has been convicted of fraud. Shortly after the allegations surfaced, Johnson was wounded at a shooting at his Gasparilla home. Johnson fled to the United Kingdom but was denied asylum by the country's immigration authorities. However, he was allowed to stay as he was granted humanitarian protection for 5 years. Archie was also linked to the convicted fraudster Kern Romero, who was accused of using his alleged friendship with Archie to defraud people. Romero died in the hospital early last year. Archie's initial silence on the allegation drew criticism from senior legal practitioners and even some of Archie's judicial colleagues. The Law Association report said in November 2017, the Association Council called on Archie to respond to the allegation that he discussed the judge's meeting with Johnson. It then appointed a subcommittee to investigate the allegations and sought the legal advice from Sir Francis Alexis, QC of Grenada, and Eamon Courtenay, QC of Belize, to determine if the allegations were sufficient to trigger impeachment proceedings under the Constitution. The investigation was initially stymied after Archie obtained an injunction blocking the probe. The injunction was overturned by 3 of his colleagues from the Court of Appeal, and their decision was upheld by the Privy Council last August. While the Privy Council ruled that the association's investigation did not usurp the impeachment proceedings, it warned over the potential impact of disseminating the findings of the facts in the report. And finally, in Jamaica. Although the woman who snatched his day-old baby from the Victoria Jubilee Hospital in January has pleaded guilty, Sinclair Hutton is not convinced that she acted alone. Peter Gay French, the woman who stole his child from the hospital in Kingston in January, pleaded guilty to child stealing yesterday and is to be sentenced on September 19. When the matter was called up in the Supreme Court, French's attorney at law Rachel Donaldson told the court that her client would like to take a particular course of action. French subsequently pleaded guilty. The judge subsequently ordered a social inquiry report and an antecedent report. Hatton said he was glad she pleaded guilty, but he said he felt others should have been charged for assisting her with stealing the child from the hospital. Peter Gay French has been charged with child stealing. He then questioned how French managed to remain inside the hospital from 6 p.m. to 5:30 the next morning without being seen. With her sentencing set for September, Hutton believes that she should get 8 to 10 years for stealing his child. Under Section 69 of the Offences Against the Persons Act, she could be liable to be imprisoned for a term not exceeding 7 years with or without hard labor. The 27-year-old French, who is from Hawkers Hall in St. Catherine, was taken into custody on February 5 when she turned up to the Registrar General's Department in Twickenham Park, St. Catherine, attempting to register a baby. A subsequent DNA test confirmed on February 7 that the baby belonged to Hutton and his common-law wife Suzette White. Prior to the matter being transferred to the Supreme Court on Tuesday, it was said that in Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court in April that French lurked at the hospital for almost a month before stealing the child. According to court documents, French was first seen at the hospital by 2 witnesses on December 20, 2018. Father convinced baby snatcher didn't act alone. And that is all for tonight's regional news. Amel Griffith reporting for HGP Regional News.